If your jump technique sucks, if your arm swing technique sucks, if you are goofy footed and you want to fix that, today I'm going to teach you how, using this framework that I created. It's the most effective way to learn a new skill for volleyball and then to implement that skill to where it actually matters, which is doing it in a game and getting better at volleyball. And this is a framework that we use with all of our clients, whether we're trying to fix their jump technique because they are goofy footed or just want better jump technique, or if we just want to fix their arm swing so they have like that more whippy arm swing and just improve really any skill within volleyball. And it is something that I call the continuum of chaos. And I'm going to explain what that means in just a minute. Really quick, if you are new here, which most of you watching this probably are new here, my name is Greg Hersig. I'm known as the Volleyball Strength Coach, and I own a company where we train volleyball players online, not so much for this stuff, but for the strength conditioning work, and some of the stuff we're going to talk about today fits into that. I've been playing volleyball for over 20 years. I played D1 for Ball State University back in the day. I've been some kind of strength conditioning coach and personal trainer for the past 15 years, and I've trained over 1,000 volleyball players online in just the last 5 years. And primarily now we do have a membership that has a bunch of workouts in it that you can follow, and we also work one-on-one primarily with adult volleyball players. But that's enough about that. Let's talk about the continuum of chaos, and I'm going to try to put something in there where you can see it. And the entire premise of this framework is taking the skill, implementing it into the game, and the way we're going to do that is by reducing that skill down to its smallest pieces with the least amount of variables. This is kind of the main thing. Start with the least amount of variables, and then slowly over time, once you get that technique down, we introduce more variables until we can put it into the game. Because if you've ever tried to fix your arm swing technique, if you've ever tried to fix your jump technique and you're like, oh, I can do it here, but then when I go to the game, I just default to my old bad habits, it's because you're skipping steps, and we're going to talk about what those steps are today. And speaking of steps, if we're trying to fix our jump technique, the first thing we're going to start with is literally just the individual steps. And I have posts on these. I can try to link some, but I'm going to do a little bit of demonstration, but just to give you guys the idea of the framework, right? So when we're talking about jump technique, like the literal individual steps of what it takes one by one, working on those steps, you can either, working on penultimate, like just back and forth, just working on that penultimate step, working on that block step, like literally the individual steps. We're trying to reduce the variables, okay? The only variable is you, and is only one step at a time. It's the lowest level of variables, okay? So you go through, you work on those individual steps, you're like, cool, I get that in theory, right? So next we can go to like something like a walkthrough, where it's like, I take one step, and then I take the next step, and then it's like, I take my step, and then I take one step, and then I take the next step. But that's like the extent of the intensity, right? So now we're putting things together. We're adding a variable, which is multiple pieces together. After we do that, we can actually take it to an approach where we're going through and actually doing the approach and we're jumping, right? You can see we're just slowly adding things. But it's like you have to understand this before you can effectively do this. And before you effectively do this, you can't do this. And once you know the approach, you can't just go right to a game. We need to start introducing more variables. So at this point, the only variable is us. We're just making the way things are done a little bit more difficult, right? So let's start to add some variables. You can go and do this on a court. So before you can do it in a game, you can go on the court and you can line yourself up with the lines of the court. And you're like, okay, I transition and then I go here, here's the 10-foot line, and then I do my approach and this is where I land, right? So we're getting more and more specific to volleyball from here. Do it on the court, figure out your lines, figure out your spacing, everything like that. Then we can start actually hitting. But hitting, this would be from like, we would start with like a partner toss where they're right in front of you, right? So we can go to toss and then we can go to set and we can move from there. But now we're in actual hitting the ball. So we're throwing in kind of a lot of variables in this one. I did kind of skip some steps here because I was running out of space. But it's like we're doing it with the ball, and now we're doing it with somebody else, so we have to worry about timing, we have to worry about spacing, we have to worry about location, everything like that. You get the idea. Like, this isn't every single step, but we're understanding the framework. And then after that, so we're now hitting a ball, then we always want to go and work on things in drills before it's going to be fully implemented in a game. And when you're at this point, Like sometimes, you're thinking about it in the game, but this might not still be to the point where you're not thinking about it. This might not be muscle memory yet. So you're in the drill and you're like, okay, I'm gonna start with this foot forward and then I'm gonna go here and here, right? So you're still thinking. We want you to get to the point where you're not thinking. Another space that could be in here would be like scrimmages, right? So like games that you don't really care about before we get to games that you do care about. But again, you can see the theme here. You have to learn the steps. Once you learn the steps, you can kind of walk through the thing. We're adding a variable. Then we're adding some speed and we're adding some power. We're adding things here. Now we're doing it on a court with the lines and everything else. Now we're actually going to be hitting a ball. Now we're hitting a ball where other people are involved in a drill and we're actually playing. And then eventually, after a while of doing this, I don't know how long it takes, it depends on you and how much of this you do, then we can actually do it to hitting in a game. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense. Big takeaway, least amount of variables, most amount of variables, which is a match. What are the steps in between that you can go through those steps one at a time so you can actually learn the skill and implement it into muscle memory. So that's jump technique, okay? Let's talk about hitting technique. This is another one we work with a lot of people, and I gotta make sure these flip so it's not a spoiler. Okay. Oh, one more. Cool. Let's talk about arm swing technique. It's the same thing. These are the two big things that we help people with. We help with hitting technique. We help with arm swing technique. Obviously, we give you the workouts. We give you the nutrition. That's what our one-on-one coaching is, right? We'll write you a custom workout program. We'll give you the nutrition. We'll do live calls with you. We'll do film review. And in the film review, we can look at this stuff and we can look at this stuff and we can say, okay, in your program, we're going to do a jump technique and mobility day. We're going to do an arm swing technique and mobility day. And then we'll tell you when to do these things and we'll give you the drills to do. So although we do focus on the exercise side of things, we implement the technique side of things where it fits with what we do. And we also just watch you play and tell you how to be better at volleyball. It's a very all-in-one type of system. If you want more information on that, see if you qualify. There's an application in the link in my bio. Arm swing technique, okay? Again, the goal is match. Do this playing volleyball against people you don't know in a game that you care about. First step is these position drills. And I've got a relatively recent Instagram post on this, but it's literally just going one at a time, like working on rotation, and then working on rotation and external rotation, and then adding the side bend, and it's all of these different things. Like we have to dial in the positions first. I'm left-handed, by the way. Everything's backwards. Do both sides. So, working on what are these exact positions that I'm gonna go through when I'm hitting, and we're taking away all of the variables from there first. Check out the post on Instagram. I'll try to link it or something. Next, we do something called arm swing flow. Should have brought a ball out. Arm swing flow is when you are holding onto something that has a little bit of weight, and now you're just working on flowing through the movement. So it's like I'm driving from my hip, keeping my arm relaxed, keeping my elbow patient, and I'm adding a little bit of movement to these drills that we just worked on. Okay, arm swing flow, super good. You can also do this with a towel where you're whipping the towel. Very similar type of thing. Next step, going to a hanging ball. This is one of the coolest things, most logical things I've ever done. Right in front of you, but you can't see, is my vertical jump tester. And in the vertical jump tester, I put this thing, which holds a ball. And then in here, I had a ball, and I could set it to the exact height that I needed to, where I could just repeatedly hit over and over and over and over again. I will overlay a video on that because I know I have that handy. But we're moving to a ball, so we're adding that variable. We're still on the ground, we're not jumping, there's no other people, right? But it's like now I'm actually hitting a ball. After that, give me that tape. I'm gonna save this for later. We can go to a self-toss. So you're tossing up to yourself, you're hitting a ball at something, right? Adding the variable of now we're working on timing, we're working on spacing, that type of stuff. After that, we can go to a coach toss. So somebody or partner, whoever, somebody is tossing you a ball, and now you're in the air working on your arm swing technique, right? We're adding a variable, now someone else is involved. From there, you can go to actually somebody setting you, and we're still not quite there because of what we talked about. You probably know what's under this one, but we're just adding another variable. A person is now setting you a ball, and we're getting closer and closer to being in a match. And then you would do this in drills. And again, part of this is like, how much thought do I need to put behind what I'm doing? Because by the time we're here, this needs to be subconscious. It needs to be muscle memory. It just has to happen without you thinking about it. So all of these times that you're working on this, you're probably still thinking like, okay, when I go up, I'm really gonna pull my elbow back, and then I really wanna keep my arm relaxed when I hit. But by the time we're here, like, we can't worry about that stuff anymore. And so you may still have some swings that aren't the best. You got to give yourself a little bit of grace because not everything is going to be perfect. But then when you go to the drills, you're like, okay, this time I'm really going to work on my draw, or I'm going to work on a circular draw. I really want that patient elbow, right? You can think about those things on like these, right? All of these, really. By the time we're here, this does need to be subconscious. It needs to be muscle memory. That's the whole point. So here's the whole flow of an example of what you can do. Again, these aren't like hard and fast rules. Like, we don't always have everybody go through all of this. It's just an example of what's the next variable that I can add without adding too many. Cool, what's the next thing I can add? Oh, I got that, sweet. Now I'm gonna go to the next one, right? So this is the whole concept. Hopefully this makes sense. This isn't like typically my normal type of content, but I've never talked publicly about the continuum of chaos. I talk about it privately with our one-on-one clients all the time. And I'm like, hey, I should probably do a video about this because, one, I think it's really valuable information. And two, I don't think I've ever heard anybody else talk about this specifically. And I want to lay claim to the name Continuum of Chaos because I didn't look it up, but I don't think anybody else has ever used that term before. So again, this is the idea. You can implement this into any skill for volleyball, or really any skill or learning how to do anything, period, that requires muscle memory, which is like, break it down to the most simple form and add variables as you understand it and as you learn it till you get to the final form of what you want to do. So hopefully that makes sense. Again, if you want help from me and my team, there's 2 links I'm going to put down in the description. One is going to be for the membership, which is where you get access to 8 different volleyball specific workouts with us, and you just do those on your own on the app. And then the other is for our one-on-one elite coaching, which is where we do everything tailor-made for you, custom workout programs, nutrition coaching. We do not only one-on-one coaching calls with you, but we have group calls for film review. You can come to office hours with me. There's a whole school community. It's a really kind of a cool thing. Lots of film review. We just make you a better, healthier, safer volleyball player, jump higher, hit harder, get out of pain, optimize body fat percentage, all that kind of stuff. Check those out in the description if you want. Otherwise, make sure you at least hit that subscribe button or drop me a like or something, because I'm trying to grow this channel from Instagram. Otherwise, I appreciate you for watching. Hopefully this was helpful.